Hey guys, welcome back to my club stand. And I don't know what I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing this, so okay. Anyways, let's start it off with NSFW big one shot. NSFW one shot right here called Accident, Experiment, Deliberate. So this is the one of NSFW one shot that I'm reading because I'm about to read this one, so get ready. So it's a canon verse, so let's go back to the actual. So, on the Atlas, new but established a relationship. So pair pulling some that and some that. Let's see what the summary is about. Okay. Okay. Things between Key and Lance have been going well. Their sex life is healthy, but they don't get much time to explore things with the whole final war thing going on. But one accident while training leads to an interesting discovery, one that Lance can't stop thinking about, one that he really wants to explore. And so the prompt that they asked, accidentally discovers Kate is getting to his airport. So that's the prompt. So yeah. So according to with the name, saw a mutual tutor talking about that same idea. So upload this in the answer. And one of the travels that they wrote in last year, and all the prompts were suggested from the Patreon people and voted on which one will be prompt that they would like to see. And they said Lance accidentally discovers to Keith that he likes hair pulling. Okay, but I don't have much hair because my hair is short, so it's very hard. It's very hard for you to put on because I have short hair. So sorry. Buzz cut season. All right. I think I want to start this one, so let's get on with it.
Warning, this one-shot is not suitable for those under 18. Listen at your own risk.
Accident, experiment, deliberate. The first time it happens, it's a complete accident. See, they've been kind of dating for a while now. He and Lance. Yeah, he knows it's surprising. Especially after all the stuff he used to give Keith. But they're better than that now, okay? They're grown. They got really close. And the whole dating thing can just happen. Feelings, man. You can't control them. Might as well go with the flow. But the dating thing has been very low key. What with the whole war with the God Empire, saving the universe, and being pounded as a Voltron things, they don't really have time for conventional dates. They're just boyfriends. They sit close together. They hold hands under the table at meetings. They sneak good luck kisses for missions. And they still far more heated. I'm glad you're alive, but I'm mad at you for being reckless kisses when they get back. Oh, and they're also kind of sharing a room on the Atlas. That's the thing. It's just practical. It maximizes the time they get to actually spend together. You should probably mention that they're not prudes either. They're not blushing shy virgins anymore, at least. They're young adults with very healthy libidos who are in need of a lot of stress relief. Their sex life is healthy, thank you very much. It's not excessive, honk. And their sex life is varied, but it tends to waffle between two things. Extremely soft, slow, and intimate, and incredibly hard, fast, and desperate. When they have time, they tend to go slow. They embrace their moments of peace to touch each other gently, to map each other's bodies with light fingertips and near touches. They kiss slowly, deeply, and passionately. They cling to one another, seeing a deep grind that builds gradually until they're panting, holding on, and tipping over the edge together. Not to mention the eye contact, the intense and lingering eye contact that says all the things they can't put into words. Then there are times when they are hot and heated, adrenaline lingering like electricity in their veins. When they come back for a mission, when they're so frustrated with each other, it's so gosh darn relieved to be alive. When they need to feel each other, to be pressed together. to hold each other tight enough to leave bruises as they chase the sensation of each other together, to go crashing over the edge together with cries of pleasure, and then hold on to each other long after they've come down from the high. So while they have plenty of experience, their fair share of intimate knowledge of each other's bodies, what they haven't done is set aside time to explore the kinkier side of things. The stuff that's rough, but still takes time and conversation. Lance would love to get into stuff like that. The filthier things. Where slow meets fast, and desperate meets control. But he also didn't think Keith was into it. Whenever they have time, they go slow. They hold each other so tenderly, and Keith's so soft and open and vulnerable. And Lance really doesn't mind. He loves it. So he's never pushed anything else. Figure that quick and desperate breaks between meetings in broom closets and a locker room was as kinky as Keith got. So it's caught completely off guard when it first happens. When they're sparring on the train to Alice, off to one side, one on one. No weapons because Keith thinks he needs to work on his hand-to-hand combat. When Keith easily dodges and spins away, and Lance instinctively reaches out to grab it. But Keith's hair has grown longer since the whole space whale thing. And his hair tie is already fallen out a few minutes ago. But neither of them have bothered to stop so he could put it back up. And he ducks as he turns. So when Lance reaches out for his shoulder or shirt, his fingers end up closing around a fistful of beautiful, soft, silky hair. And Keith keeps moving while Lance's fist stays in place. And there's a sharp tug that jerks Keith back. And Lance is already letting go an apology with his tongue. But then Keith's mouth falls open in surprise as his head is pulled back. And Lance gets a good view of his face as his eyes roll back and a low moan escapes his lips. And he's frozen. Apology written on his tongue as he just stares, wide-eyed, surprised as heck. And then Keith's head slipping out of his loosened grip stance. As he whips around to stare at Lance, eyes wide and mouth open and utterly mortified. A pretty pink flush sitting high on his cheeks. And then Keith is spinning on his heels, stomping away. Strides quick and long, but incredibly stiff. Shoulders pulled high and punch. And Lance is left standing there, frozen in place, watching Keith go before looking down at his hand, curling his fingers and remembering what it had felt like Keith's hair had been tight in his grip. Heat curling low in his gut, half hard and probably way too obvious in his leggings. What the heck was that? He whispers aloud, but his hand holds no answer. When they're at the mission, so they are completely done with all the missions and given the deluxe. This is like somewhere the afterlife of this drone. I don't know what season they're at, but when they're somewhere in between or something like that, they are just doing their thing. And by doing their thing, they mean, let's get rowdy. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, let's go back. Finish reading this. The second time it happens, it's an experiment. Because Lance isn't able to stop thinking about it. Feeling a Keith's hair between his fingers. The jerk and resistance as Keith had tried to pull away. The way his face had instantly gone lax. The sound that came out of his mouth. Yeah. Lance hadn't stopped thinking about it. Even had to rub one out in the shower while thinking about it because they had a chance to talk about it. Things have been too hectic, too busy. And he kind of gets the impression that he's using that as an excuse to avoid the topic altogether. He comes to the room late and exhausted, and leaves early when Lance is still too groggy to do much else besides lazily grind against him until they're both tipping over the edge. So yeah, he's getting off. He's just not getting off the way he wants to because he wants to explore a bit, wants to try some new things, wants to figure out that that was just a fluke or something more substantial. So he takes things into his own hands. He waits until they're done. Snuggle up on one of the couches in one of the common rooms in the atlas. He sits with his day pad in hand, scrolling through some reports, answering mail, blah blah, boring work stuff. He works far too much, really. And it's one of the many small things he needs Lance for. And what he's admitted he appreciates Lance for. Because Lance helps him get his chill on. But he'll let his boyfriend work a little longer. Just while the few remaining people in the lounge trickle out. He sits next to Keith, slouched against the back of the seat, arms long around Keith's shoulders and legs stretched out in front of him, crossed at the ankles. The picture of nonchalance and relaxation next to someone who's sitting up straight, legs crossed, intensely focused. It's richer when they make an odd couple. He's heard it a few times. He doesn't mind. He knows they don't like they vibe well, but they don't see what he sees. They don't see the way Keith's actually relaxing to him, leaning into his touch, tension leaking out of his shoulders the moment Lance's arm lay across them. Hey, babe, Lance ventures, watching the last person leave the lounge, the door sliding shut. All he gets is an answering hum, distant and distracting. That's okay. That's what he wants, even if he tries to be. Babe? His arms around Keith's shoulders, jostling him gently. Are you going to work all afternoon? I need to review some of these reports before meeting later. Tap moment. And his eyes never once look away from his data pad. It's the perfect setup. Lance turns to him, head cocked to the side, his hand lips from Keith's shoulder to idly run his fingers through his hair, long and silky, so unfairly soft to the touch. Some of it is natural, but his hair is evidently gotten better since he started taking showers with Lance, and Lance is taking shampoo and conditioning to his own hands. Keith hums softly, distant but appreciative, content as he leans into the touch. Lance scratches blunt nails against his scalp, running his fingers through his hair in long, lazy strokes. But still, Keith doesn't look up. Keith, he whines softly, but there's an edge there. Something sharp in the undertone. Something firm and authoritative simmering beneath the surface. The build-up, the anticipation, the man in the disguise of a whine. You work too much. He either doesn't notice the shift or doesn't care. He just hums, dismissive. It's perfect, really. What a good boy. Doesn't even realize he's fallen right where Lance wants him. Keith, babe, look at me. He doesn't. Oh, so deliciously simple, perfect. It gives him the perfect excuse to switch his fingers into Keith's hair, slow and steady, playing off as nothing. And then when his fingers are good and deep, buried in those silky black locks, script tightens. It's quick. He does like it to pull up trigger. His entire hand clenching till it's locking Keith's hair as he flicks his wrist, just slightly, just enough to give a short, tight tug. It snaps Keith's head back, just far enough to lift his gaze from the pad, and still stays back toward the ceiling to expose the pretty column of his throat. So Lance give a dang fine show as Keith's eyes snap open wide, as his jaw drops open, pretty lips parting, as the gap seizes him, sharp in his throat, abruptly stopping to reverse to let the air out in a long, slow, loud. Eyes wide all lit and dazed as by shudders. Lance feels his lips curl into a smirk, toothy and satisfied. His heart races in his chest, sending heat searching between his legs, body tingling in anticipation, because just wow. Good boy, he whispers, breathiness ruining the cockiness. Keith's gaze, still lit at people's glow, snaps to his. Something passes between them, something electric that sizzles like static across their skin, sparking and jumping. Something connects, snaps into place, and understanding settles between them, molten and hot, raw and vulnerable. He stands his eyes, and he watches it take root. Surprise, curiosity, hesitation, nervousness, and finally, acceptance. And with acceptance comes a weight of heat. It's subtle, lingering in the way he arches his back just slightly, in the way he licks his lips, in the way his hands lower the data pad to his lap, forgotten as he pushes back into Lance's hand. Why didn't you tell me this was a thing? Lance asked, voice surprisingly hoarse. His riptides, just barely, just enough to bring attention back to it. Keith gasped, hisses, lets out a short breath. I didn't know. It happens quickly. The door to the lounge sign open. Voices fill in the air. Both of them jump in apart before coming back together in a rush to seem normal. Keith hangs his head low as he looks down at his data pad, bangs hiding his face. Lance crosses his legs, arm draped heavy over Keith's shoulder, whistling softly because, wow. That's not settle at all, is it? The people who come and settle on a nearby couch still chat amongst themselves, give him and Keith no more than a curious glance in a friendly way. Lance waves back, and when they turn away, he leans to the Keith, whispers slowly in his ear, I'm coming back to this later. He doesn't miss the way Keith shivers. We got to the accident part, so I mean, the accident thing did not mean to do such a thing. So Lance did not mean to do getting the hair pulled. That's whoops. That was not supposed to happen that one. That would be very kinky. Now it becomes the experiment. We see how this pulling his hair. Oh, and that starts to getting to know each other because they're a couple now. They're boyfriends. So that gets onto it, and that's how the get into the sexual part. This pulling hair is now more like a fetish thing. I don't know if that's a fetish thing or something, but we'll get down to the next part. So you've done the accident part, and then we finished the experiment part. Now, let's deliberate. Okay, let's get this deliberate part. The third time happens. It's deliberate. The meeting had run late. So late that Hunk had brought food to the conference room, complete with a fine glass of wine that simmered above so deliciously these days. So late that Lance had stopped paying attention and his mind had wandered. Not that anyone had noticed. Oh no, it was a perfect paladin. Best right-hand man, watching the speakers and offering input and singularly focused. You know, except for the hand that was groping Keith's side beneath the table, pulling to spread his legs, run his hand from knee up his inner thigh to the apex of his legs. The heel of his hand shamelessly pressed against Keith's half heart, which didn't stay half hard for long. Keith, for the record, never told him to stop, not with her words and not with his eyes. It just cleared his throat whenever his voice cracked, scowled extra hard to hide the rising blush. But his legs fell open with ease. It didn't take much to have him slowly grinding against Lance's hand. When the meeting was over, Keith stood up quickly, turning before anyone could see anything, particularly stomping out of the room before anyone could stomp it. Is he okay? Pitch had asked, frowning as he stared after him. Yeah, Lance wavered off, already out of his seat and moving toward the door, half turned to shoot her some disarming finger guns. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. He hurries down the hall, catching a flush of red, white, and black, turning a corner of ahead. He chases after, but steadily, easily, slowly lengthening his strides and closing the distance gradually, until he's coming right up behind Keith just outside the door. Chest presses the keys back, Brad catching on his hair, hands ghosting beneath his shirt to touch bare skin, hips grind against his butt. The door slides open with a hiss, and they stumbled through into the room. It shut automatically behind him. And then Lance's hands are tightening on Keith's hips, spinning him around backward, slamming his back to the door. Hard enough to knock the breath from his lungs, but not hard enough to hurt. Oh no, because Lance takes care of his baby. He even has a hand behind his head to keep him from snapping back against the metal. His fingers digging through thick hair to create him so gently. He follows up with his body, pressing snug against Keith, sliding a knee between his legs till his thighs pressed up against his still heart. Grinding lightly until Keith sucks to grab, hips starting to grind down on their own. One hand still in Keith's hair, he leans forward until his forearm is against the door behind him, propping himself up. Keith's hands find the front of his jacket, ripping it open, and probably ripping a few buttons. Oops. And then Keith's hands are on his bare chest, everywhere. Leather of his gloves and warm, soft, and dragging against naked flesh. His nipples, fingers desperate to touch and make the Lance's stomach jump and rip. His hands slide up to his shoulders, trying to push his Allen jacket off, but giving up halfway through, instead wrapping his arms around Lance's neck. And then that hand is so gentle, his hair tightens, wraps around those pretty little locks and pulls, yanks Keith's head back, forces him to expose his throat until his head. And Keith moans. So loud, so deep, so freaking guttural, and unable to hold any of it back because of the angle Lance holds him. Frick. Lance breathes, diving in and covered that simple mouth with his own, to dive his tongue past those parted lips, to kiss him hard and full and swallow the soft umber as his fist clenches in Keith's hair. Keith clutches at his shoulders, one hand fisting in the back of his jacket, while the other slides on his chest, wrapping up to dig his nails into Lance's back. The whole while his hips never stop moving, never stop grinding, chasing the pleasure of Lance's thigh, hard and running against him. That's it, baby. He pants against Keith's lips. He's breathing so heavily, face flushed and dark eyes lit. He tilts his head, lifting his chin to go for another kiss. The Lance grip tightens to hold him in place, and Keith's eyes roll back with a soft groan, a sudden resistance. Keep going. He breathes, voice pitched low. Wrist sat up as Keith rises up. Get yourself off. It's okay. I want to watch you. Lance, he wants his name, voice hoarse. He tries to shake his head, but he can't move much. Lance can feel the tug as he tries. Keith's eyes flutter close at this sensation. What do you want, baby? Lance tilts his chin, pressing a fleeting kiss to Keith's lips, rubbing the tip of his nose along Keith's. He enjoys this play at control, but he knows when it comes right down to it, he'd do anything he wanted. Anything to make him feel good. Anything. Want you in my... Ooh, okay. Not what he expected, but boy, if that doesn't send a jolt from Keith straight to his... He pulls back, gazing down at Keith's beautiful face, all lax and blush. He likes this angle, likes feeling a little taller, even if it's only because Keith says that giving out, and he's practically sitting on last time. Seriously? He whispers. He knows he sounds mystified, and he doesn't freaking care. His boyfriend is practically begging to his... Please, scratch that. Definitely beg. Frick, Chief. Lance grows, taking one last kiss, messy and desperate, before pulls away and lets go of his hair and removes his leg. He almost instantly slides down the door, sinking to his knees, dragging his hands down Lance's chest as he goes. Fingers curl to scrape his nails against the bare skin. Lance hisses, leaning heavily on the arm propped up on the door, hips running against nothing. But then Keith's hands are there, quick and rough and gritty, as he wrestles Lance's hands open and impatiently yanks both of them, and his underwear halfway down his thighs. Lance inhales sharply as is free, bobbing to attention, hard and leaking. The air cold against his flushed skin. Keith's hands run up his thighs, slow and reverent, firm and possessive. One hand stays in his thigh, gripped tight and fingers splayed wide. Keith has never been shy about how much he loves Lance's legs, while the other hand wraps around the base of his one soft stroke, because it's customary, two, because he's greedy. And then he's diving forward, singing down on his without preamble, without tease, because this is Keith, and he charges into anything and everything at all. Lance gasped as the sudden heat envelopes him, wet and tight as Keith's lips close around him, sinking low and fast, his hands still wrapped around the base. Jeez, Keith. He sounds strangled. Free hand going to Keith's shook the grip into his jacket, eyes rolling back as Keith slowly pulls up, hard as he goes. And then his hand leaves Lance's side, moving to take his hand, gentle fingers urging Lance's to let go of his clothes, and then guiding his hand to his hair. Lance opened his eyes, looking out as Keith settles Lance's hand in his hair. Fingers wrap around Lance for a moment, giving a gentle squeeze before it drops, returning to his side. All the while staring at him, face framed by messy bangs, eyelided and pupil, lips so pretty as they're stretched thin around his tongue lapping at the underside. And yeah, Lance can take that. Frick, really? He asks anyway, just to make sure. He gives a bare little nod, bobbing his head slightly on Lance so sweetly at the head. Lance tightens his grip just a little, just to test it, and Keith's eyes instantly blur close. His hand then moves. David Lance thigh and drifting around to grab at his butt. Yeah, he's a fan of his butt too. But then Keith's fingers dig in, grabbing hard enough once to pull his hips forward, forcing Lance deeper into his knee. He relaxes his grip as Lance instinctively pulls back, but then he does it again. And frick, Lance can't take it. Crap, Keith. Seriously? He pushes back against Keith's grip. His own hold in Keith's head tightening to keep it in place as it pulls out of his Keith huffs, whines, pouts, scowls up at him. The Lance isn't having it. No, I need to know if I'm reading the signals right or if it's just my horny brain. Yes, I swear to God, if you don't, mum, in the next 5 seconds, she's Keith. He doesn't know who moves first. If it's him shoving his into Keith's, or if Keith dies for it. But either way, he slides back into that sweet, wet heat with a low groan. Keith's hand remains on his butt, but it's more for his own enjoyment than anything. Lance doesn't need any more encouragement. His fingers dig deeper into Keith's thick hair, wrapping tight around the soft strands, nails scratching at his scalp as he clenches his fist. He tugs, sharply, only once, just to give Keith that sensation that he's craving. And then his hips are stabbing forward at the same time. He pushes Keith's head, forcing him onto his, forcing himself deep into that tight heat. Keith moans around him, vibrations absolutely heavy, encouraging him to pick up the pace. He's gentle, even in his roughness. He always is with Keith, but he knows Keith can take it. Knows Keith will let him know it needs to. So he lets himself enjoy this. Lets himself chase after his own pleasure. Lets himself his boyfriend's throat, pushing Keith down onto his before using his hair to pull him off. Keith's eyes are lidded, gazing at him, dazed and completely relaxed. He's given in. He's sunken into some sort of space. His lips are stretched, so beautiful around Lance's, and his jaw is hanging loose to let him in. He's a mess. Spit and dripping down his chin, glistening on red lips, flush high in his cheeks, hair absolutely tangled. You're so freaking pretty like this, he whispers, voice slow and ragged. Keith misses his gaze, whines in his throat. Sound choppy as Lance doesn't stop. Frick, Keith, so pretty, so freaking pretty. He's babbling. He knows he is. He always does when Keith drives him crazy. He stopped paying attention to his own words, far to focus on how Keith's knees spread wide. On the hand that leaves Lance previously above his Keith going too deep, to shakily unbutton his pants and pull himself out. He starts out a quick pace, fisting zone in time with Lance's thrust. And without that hand away, Lance goes deeper, feels the back of Keith's throat, feels a moan as Lance pulls his hair, using the chase after his own pressure. Keith, Frank, Keith, I'm close. Keith's pace picks up, eyes somehow lit but intense, staring at Lance, his brows pinched, as his mouth Lance open, and he thrusts deep, pushing Keith's nose into the hair at his base, and then he's tipping over the edge, spilling down Keith's throat and gently rocking his hips through the waves. It's with Keith's low guttural groan, which he can feel around. Jeez Louise. That he knows Keith can too. And he pulls out slowly, carefully, his grip in Keith's hair loose. As he pulls back, Keith's heart moves from his butt, and ouch! He definitely has nail marks there. So of his chin, swallowing what was left in his mouth. And Lance gives into the shaking legs, falling to his knees in front of Keith, reaching out to pull into a slow and lazy kiss. He runs fingers through Keith's hair, gently detangle it, smooth it out. And Keith humps against his lips, melting into touch and post haste. That was so hot. Lance was against his mouth. I should have known you had a kinky side. You can feel Keith's fur when he speaks. His voice absolutely erect. Next time, we're exploring one of your kinks. What makes you so sure I have any? The look Keats give him is heated, intense, and mischievous. It makes him shudder and melt, especially when Keats' hand slides up his chest, fingers slightly wrapping around his throat and tilting his chin back. He has to bite back whimper, and Keats persuades. Call it a hunch. I'm sure we'll find something. Wow, that's a deliberate thing for you. There's a lot of, you know, man, I cannot believe that they're doing this. This is a, I have to censor myself with that. And I can't say I'll say to you, oh, you know, where you can have a banana, right? And then shove it in your mouth. Oh my God. That's how they do it. And pulling the hair back, try to pull his hair back and just, yep, Keith is just going at it for Lance. He's going at it. I'm sure. I'm sure he is. And they got the feeling right there that they are, ooh, wow. That's another level right now of reading this NSFW one shot. I can't believe I just read that. Man, there's a lot of things in the mouth, but one of them is really good, and it will. I can't show you the hands right there because I don't want to hear myself in saying this one. I'm gonna get them on this back from this fail, and I want to keep it as family family friendly, but not too family friendly. I want to keep it as like family friendly as possible, but I'm sorry, you're gonna have to see that. You're gonna have to listen to that one. It's a fic, guys. Nothing real, because this is like something when you get older, you're gonna have to watch it. And okay, I think Twitter is also taking over that stuff there, but I don't want to get to it. Okay, all right. I guess I'm enough for now for this video now. And I'll see you again this time. I need to recover myself and see you guys in the next video for a regular one shot because this one shot is getting hotter than it is. Well, the next one shot is not as hot as this one because it's a regular. All right, guys. Goodbye.